It's the International Soccer Preview. We are Soccer Files Canada. Welcome to Series 30, looking at the players of the 2025 Gold Cup. This episode is looking at the players of Trinidad and Tobago. Part 1, the candidates. Here we go. In Section 3, we welcome new listeners here because we are releasing a short version of this, part 1 of 2 on Trinidad and Tobago's players. So I'll just speak to the new listeners briefly. In the full version, we introduced the candidates and their likelihood of making the final squad. And if you want the details on the players, I recommend going to the full version, and that will cover our reasons for putting them in the category that we put them in, and for some of the more likely players, career information on those players. So if you've been listening since the beginning, this next part will be just a review for you, and for the new people, just a flyby of the of what we discussed in Section 2 mainly. So I'll just say we're not concerning ourselves with predicting starters. In this case, we're going to do that in part 2 of the video when the final rosters are released. So we are just looking at the candidates and referring to their likelihood of making it. So even if someone is a definite candidate, it doesn't mean they're necessarily a starter. Okay, we begin with the manager situation. We have Dwight York. He came in right at the end of 2024 there, and so has really just coached them through a couple of friendlies and the March 2025 Gold Cup qualifiers, and he made a lot of changes, I might say, so that leaves us a bit confused as to the likelihood of candidates here. Anyway, we tried our best. At the goalkeeper level, it is fairly settled. We have a definite candidate in Denzel Smith. What's not settled is who his backup would be. We have likely candidate Jabari St. Hilaire. But then we have 4 possible candidates, Marvin Phillip, Adrian Fonset, Christopher Bigot, and Aaron Inell. And we won't really mention players below that level of likelihood unless there's a reason to. In this case, we do have a reason to mention Nicholas Frenderup because despite not being that old, he is retired from soccer, their starter in the 2023 Gold Cup. So we're not expecting to see his name on the list. That's goalkeepers. We move to defense. And for central defenders, like many categories here, we don't have any definite candidates, which is indicative of them really not settling on players that much. It's a bit better in defense than up front. But anyway, we have 2 likely candidates for central defense, Aubrey David and Justin Garcia, and then 2 possible candidates, Sheldon Bateau and Hosea Trimmingham. So that's actually not a lot of candidates. We do have Alvin Jones, who's a left back, kind of coming in to play in central defense. That's often when it's a 3-man defense, but we think some of the less likely players may have to be called in because they usually bring 5 or 6. Okay, let's move on to left back. Again, no definite candidate here, but we have 2 likely candidates, Andre Raymond and newcomer Darnell Hospitales. And then 2 possible candidates, Tristan Hodge and Ross Russell Jr., who haven't been selected for the last few matches under the new manager. For right backs, I think I made a mistake and said Alvin Jones was a left back who plays in central defense, but actually he's a right back. He is a definite candidate, Alvin Jones, and we also have a likely candidate in Shannon Gomez here, and then 2 possible candidates, Isaiah Garcia and Jesse Williams. Moving on to the midfield, or at least the defensive end of the midfield, we start with defensive midfielders, and here we have likely candidate Noah Powder. Excuse me, let me try one more time. Noah Powder who is actually coded as a left defender, but has been playing as a defensive midfielder and also as a left attacking winger. Noah Powder is a likely candidate, and we have a possible candidate in Michel Poon-Angaron there. And in the central midfield, we have a definite candidate, Andre Rampersad, who sometimes plays as an attacking midfielder. And we have two likely candidates in Daniel Phillip and Dante Gilbert, and two possible candidates in Stefan Yeats and John Paul Rochford. Okay, and you'll see there, although I won't name them, like 4 candidates at the possible but unlikely level or below. We have a lot of that with Trinidad and Tobago because, again, players seem to come and go into the squad there. We're not going to deal with left and right midfielders because those positions are covered by defensive and central midfielders. But we have one general midfielder at the possible but unlikely level, almost possible though, Liam Burns. So he's just classified as a midfielder right now, but actually we think he's a little higher than possible but unlikely. Moving on to the attacking midfielders, we didn't put any players in the versatile attackers position, but we could have put a lot of them because the players we're going to talk about here actually do kind of move around and play different positions on the field. But we kind of tried to put them where they mostly played. So for left attackers, unsurprisingly, we have no definite candidate because they're kind of choosing a different player every game. We have a likely candidate in Jovin Jones, and then 3 possible candidates, Rion Moore, central midfielder Ajani Fortune, who's been playing over here a little bit, and Tyrese Spicer. Those are the 3 possible candidates in addition to likely candidate Jovin Jones. Over on the right side, not only do we not have a definite, we don't even have a likely candidate here, but we have Ryan Telfer, who's coded as a left winger. He's basically playing everywhere, but he did play 4 or 5 matches in a row as right attacker at the beginning of the period. We also have a possible candidate, Kahim Thomas, there, and I will mention possible but unlikely Cale Overy. Hasn't started recent matches, but I suspect he'll be brought in. Central attackers, no definite candidate here, but 2 likely candidates, Nathaniel James and Kevin Molino, and then a possible candidate in Dwayne Muckett. We have 5 players seemingly off the squad. All of those made some appearance from 2023 onwards, but have not been on the squad recently enough for us to think they're going to make it. Okay, at the forward level, we have 2 players coded as strikers. So we put them in the secondary striker category. The first one is the likely candidate, Real Gill. And actually, he's the only one we'll mention because the other is seemingly off the squad. And then moving on to forwards, again, no definite candidate here, but a likely candidate in Isaiah Lee. And then 2 possible candidates, Kevon Woodley and Brent Sam. And I think I'll mention possible but unlikely candidate Levi Garcia, because I have a sneaking suspicion that he might be selected. All right, that's it for our run through the squad, our summary of section 2, basically. And we move on to a review of injuries. Well, this part at least is simple for Trinidad and Tobago. No injury concerns at this point. So we're doing this near the end of May. And so actually not that long till the Cup, but hopefully they won't get any injuries concerns, but we will review this in part 2 if any new ones come up. Okay, on to closing thoughts. And I've kind of alluded to it all the way through. I hope I don't seem too insulting to Trinidad and Tobago, but the situation does seem a bit chaotic. We saw in section 1 just a wide variety of formations they use, so they can't seem to settle on a consistent formation. And then we saw not so much in defense, but in in other positions, especially attacking positions. Really, just a new player in every game. So we don't see any player kind of consistently starting in the same position up front. So between that and the formations, it must be very difficult to players to kind of get used to each other's style if it's a different set of players every game. So I'll just say, very unsettled here, and talk about it here. In my early stages of preparing this media cast, I was curious why there were so few definite candidates and so many names, because as I said, all of the players listed here have appeared in 2023 or later. And it's because, especially in offense, as I said, almost a different player in every game. And that's actually under both managers. But when the new manager came in November, we saw almost a new squad. Players who had been fairly steady selections for the squad, not selected for the last few games, and then new players brought in. And I got to say, this seems to be, so it all leads to a lack of stability in the positions. And I wonder if this is a bigger pattern too, because another thing I mentioned during section 2 is that there are gaps in players' careers. So when they're not starting, it's not like they're on the bench. A lot of times they're off the team, and they're off the team for 6 months or a year or something. And then we get another player who hasn't been on the team for a year coming back into the team. So I was also curious why they don't have a lot of veterans, and that's probably the reason why. They do have some players with 60 caps or more, but not as many as other teams seem to have. So players coming in and out of the team. So again, this doesn't seem to be just in this period, but over the last few years, at least for Trinidad and Tobago. So yeah, a bit of a concern there, and I'm hoping that Trinidad and Tobago in the Cup will kind of settle into a squad that is comfortable working with each other. That's my piece. Okay, let's move on to the last order of business here, and that is previewing part 2. So this is just part 1, our look at the candidates and their likelihood of making it. Part 2 is focused on who actually did make it when the final squad lists are released. So we will keep an eye on notable non-selections, players we expected to be selected but weren't, and surprise inclusions, players we didn't expect but were. We're expecting a lot of those for Trinidad and Tobago, and maybe even a few new players who we'll introduce you to. Any updates on injuries? Right now they don't have any, and hopefully it'll stay that way. And then our focus in part 2 is looking at who's been playing in the position over the last couple of years, and who we think are going to be starters. So we will look forward to that in part 2, and that is it for our look at part 1, the candidates, and we hope you join us for part 2. We would like to thank Future Bass for the wonderful music you hear in this podcast. The title is called Alone.